Hey there, Audrey Alamo here with the Concert Contradiction and my new friend Liz Bragg. Uh, I know Liz, actually for the only like the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
However, we've known each other through Facebook because my husband and Liz work together teaching high school. So I'm going to start by just asking you to share a little bit about yourself, Liz.
Okay. I'm Liz Bragg. I'm originally from Georgia. Went to school at Idaho. Student taught in Utah for 3 years. And then got a very direct impression that I needed to move. And I needed to come to San Antonio. So I packed up everything and applied for a job and moved down here before I even had the job.
You all alone
Yeah.
at the time?
By myself, yeah.
What was that impression?
I was actually, my kids were taking a test, and I was just sitting there watching them take it, and it was just like words to my brain, like, you need to move to San Antonio.
Oh my goodness.
And I remember being like, well, God, I don't know anybody in San Antonio. Like, I knew like 2 people. Wow. And it was just like super like, you need to go. That's where you need to be. Okay. So I was like, all right. So I packed up everything and I moved and got here and then met my husband a few months later. And then got married November of that year. Yeah, so it was craziness.
I love it. Listen to
so,
your intuition.
Yes, exactly. Those gut feelings will tell you a lot. So yeah, we got married November 2014, and then I started getting sick December, January.
Oh wow.
So like a month later. And then about February, March, it was really bad.
What kind of sick were you?
I was throwing up 6 or 7 times a day, just randomly. It would just happen. And so I went to all sorts of different doctors, and I had a endoscopy done and like all these different tests done, and no one could figure out what it was and like what was wrong. And then we went to go visit my parents in June. It was like June or July of 2015, and I had a few lumps in my neck, and they thought it was an infection. And so we went and got antibiotics and did that for a couple months, and then that wasn't working. And then 3 lumps became 5, which turned into 8. And so then we went to the doctor, and she was like, yeah, I think we need to check out this like a little bit more. I'm going to send you to an oncologist. And so we were like, all right. And I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, stage 2B, August 17th of 2015. So about 8 months or 9 months maybe after we got married. And yeah, and I had 15 tumors.
Oh my gosh. So you could feel the tumor? You could
feel
the
and
bumps?
You could see them too.
Like they were on the side or on your spine?
They were, most of them were right here on the left side of my neck, and then there were a couple in the back, and you could see them. Like there's some pictures of me about that time where you could see like this part of my neck kind of like curves in, but here it goes, it's like kind of like bulky and bumpy. So I had 8 in my neck, 1 in my armpit, 1 in the center of my chest, which was the largest one, and then the rest were in my clavicle area.
Oh my goodness. So how did you hear? Like you got a phone call? Or you
I got a phone call. But even before the phone call, like when the whole process started, like the diagnosis, diagnosis, when that process starts, I mean, like, and it's a long process, you know, I mean, you got to go through all these tests and surgeries sometimes and all this other stuff. We knew long before I got the phone call that I had cancer. Oh. It was just one of those intuition gut things again, you know, where I just, one night I'd come home from the doctor and I told John, you know, doctor wants me to go to an oncologist, and I have cancer. Like I just knew it. And he was like, well, don't say that, you don't know that yet. And I said, no, but I do though, babe, like I have cancer. And so he thought about it that night, and the next morning woke up and he said, you know what, Liz, I think you're right. I think you do have cancer. I feel it too. And so I was like, well, let's, we got to go through the test and everything, so let's just see. And so I was actually at school in a department meeting with the English department when I got the phone call, and I stepped out in the hallway, and it was my treatment specialist, and he said, so we have everything back, and he said, Hodgkin's lymphoma, stage 2B, and he said, but you're going to be fine. You're going to live. And I said, all right, sounds like a plan. And I was like, so what do I need to do next? Oh, well, you need to, go do this and go do that. And so I was like, well, okay. And he said, so you have an appointment with another doctor tomorrow. And I was like, all right. And I hung up the phone, and then I didn't want to call my husband because he was at work, and I didn't want to tell him, at work. I was like, I'll tell him tonight. But I called my mom, and I said, so Mom, the doctor just called, and she's like, yeah, what did he say? And I was like, well, I have cancer. And she said, yeah, really? And I said, yeah. And she's like, well, all right, let's do this. And I was like, okay, sounds good.
Wow.
And she was like, are you having a good day at work? Yeah. Are you? Yeah, doing good. All right. Talk to you more tonight, and and that was it.
Yeah. Well, I love the way he presented it to you. You have cancer, but you're going to live. You're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I think that I think every doctor should say that. You know what I mean? In the sense that even if they have a feeling that you're not, or statistics say you're not, it does something to your psyche, doesn't it?
Especially, because the other doctors were like, oh, you might have cancer. They just seemed like super scared to tell me.
Yeah.
But he was not afraid to tell me that I had cancer. He was not afraid to be like, it's going to be rough, and it's going to, it's going to suck, but you're going to be just fine.
Right.
And I was like, oh, well, okay. And it made me feel so much better than all my other doctors had.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, cool. All right, I can do this then.
Right.
We'll be okay.
Yeah.
So.
That's so interesting because I got the call from, she wasn't my oncologist, she's the one who did the mammography, and it was second period, first day of school.
Oh, no.
So we're in class just handing out iPads and all that,
Right.
just all that stuff, administrative stuff, but she said, Audrey, you have cancer, so seriously, scared the crud out of me, and I was like, okay, I gotta go, I gotta get back to work, and I was fine. Right. But then, fourth period came around, and I was melting down. It was just awful.
Oh, yeah.
It took a while to hit me. But, yeah. So anyway, how about your first couple of weeks? It sounds like there was a smooth process there.
The cancer-wise, it was. But the worst, and this sounds so selfish, the worst part for me was the fertility treatments at the beginning, because as soon as he said, you've got cancer, you're going to be fine, whatever, meet with this doctor tomorrow. So that's when I went to my chemo doctor, and he was like, well, I should tell you right now, chemotherapy, there's a high chance that it will take away your ability to have children. And that hadn't even crossed my mind. And so that kind of took me back, and I was like, wait, what? What do you mean it's going to take away, my ability to have kids? And he said, well, it might, and you need to start fertility treatments today. And I said, well, I need to start chemo, today. So can we do both? And he said, no. And so he said, so you need to do fertility treatments for 2 weeks, and then do an egg retrieval, and then we'll start you on chemo. And so that, and I know that sounds so stupid, but that was harder for me to take in than you have cancer.
That does not sound stupid to me at all.
I was just like, wait, and my husband, unfortunately, was at work, so I had to call him, and I said, this is what the doctor's just telling me. I don't know what to do, but they sent me to a fertility doctor who was a floor up, and she was great. She was awesome. And she gave me, because I went up to see her right after that, and I said, look, I just found out, I really need to process. I know that this is important. My husband and I have always talked about having a family, but this is something I never had to imagine I'd have to do, and I need to process. And she said, oh, absolutely, that's fine. So we took a couple days to kind of prolong things. My oncologist got mad at me, though, because he was like, no, we need to get you, do this now. And I'm like, well, no, you can wait. And give me a couple days.
Yeah.
And so the shots, I felt like I was in Breaking Bad, because I had all these these vials out on my counter, and I'm mixing all these drugs together in this vial and everything, and then I had to give myself a shot in the leg every night, and then at the end of it all, We did an egg retrieval, which was super successful. We were able to pull 22 eggs, fertilized eggs, which is like they said unheard of, and 16 of them are usable. So they're sitting up in a freezer in Austin right now. But then that very same day, I had the egg retrieval at 8 a.m. And I went in for chemo at 2 p.m. that afternoon. So it was like boom, 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 boom. But then once chemo started, and it like I got into like my cancer routine, it was much better.
Yeah.
I just hate shots and needles, so giving myself a shot every day was awful.
So much fun. So, do you remember the drug that you had for chemo?
I remember one of them because it did the most damage.
Okay.
Bleomycin.
Okay.
It's super powerful, very strong, and it works really well, but there's lots of side effects with that one. So one of the biggest side effects is that my right lung, the top chamber, is slightly, I don't know what you would say, like I guess deformed or damaged from the bleomycin. And so I cough a lot, and I always tell people, oh, don't worry, it's not contagious, it's just cancer. Like it's okay. But so I'll cough a lot, or like sometimes breathing is hard, or I can't do everything at the same pace I want to because that air isn't really going in and out like it should be. But yeah, Bleo does a lot of stuff. Yeah. But I guess it really worked. So
yeah. So you're a teacher and a coach.
Yes.
And you went through treatment at the same time. For me, there was no way I was staying in school. How did you do it?
No power of my own. That is for sure. Definitely receive daily strength from God, for sure. Because there were some mornings where I would wake up and there was just like, I don't want to do this today. Like, I'm done with this. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, yeah, it was a novelty, at the beginning, but now I'm done, and I don't like this. But it's just like that little voice in the back of your head that says, like, no, you can do this. And it was actually normally my husband and I like kneel down beside bed, like, and pray, at the end of the night or whatever. But once chemo started, like, you can't move, you're dead. You're like, no, I'm not kneeling down because I may not get up off the floor,
Right.
And so we would, like, he would kneel beside the bed and I would lay in bed and we would pray together. But then I just, like, again, like when moving from Utah to San Antonio, I just had that voice in my head, and it was like, it told me, if you use your strength to kneel, I will give you the strength to stand. And so I got out of bed and kneeled by my bed, and I was just like, okay, God, every day I'm going to kneel and pray. And, you promised me if I do that, you'll help me make it through every day, and you'll help me, like, get up every day and do what I need to do. And so I really think that was part of it. And then just being surrounded by such wonderful, caring, loving people. Like, your husband would always check in on me and be like, how are you doing? Send me a quick email or send me emails or whatever. And then just coworkers, jumping in, like, what do you need me to do? Do you need me to run down to your mailbox, which is at, like, the other end of the school, or do you need me to, like, make copies, or do you need me to do this, do you need me to do that? So it was just, like, an abundance of help from everybody. And I was like, okay, like, I can do this, obviously not on my own, because that's what I thought. I was like, what, I've got cancer, I'm just going to do this, and it'll just be, like, my problem and my thing, and I'll make it through, and it'll be all right. But I didn't realize just how much, like, it reaches out to other people.
Yeah.
It's not just a you do it by yourself problem.
Yeah.
You need other people.
Yeah.
And you need other things to help you through.
Yeah. Yeah. Support systems are so important.
Oh, for sure.
And me being an introvert, it's kind of a whole other story. But yeah, the support that I've gotten has been just the biggest blessing.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So speaking of blessings, have you seen, have you changed as a result of this, or?
Yes. Especially this past week, we've seen so much stuff in the news and the media about different things that are happening in the world. And I was definitely falling into that trap of there's no good in this world. Like there's just no good. People are mean and hateful, but going through this and just seeing the outpouring of love from total random strangers, just people who would like see me with no hair and come up to me and say, "Are you going through cancer?" And I would say, "Yes." I will pray for you. And it's just like random people, and there are coworkers that are of different faiths, Catholic, Baptist, Methodist, Muslim, that are like, "We are praying for you," and people like that I just don't even know,
right,
and had never met, or I had just seen in the halls, because there's 200 of us there, there's a lot of us, and so I was constantly being reminded of the goodness of people, and that people are genuinely and generally good people. The world is not going to pot, and not everybody is mean and hateful and only looking out for themselves.
Right.
There are people out there that are looking out for each other, and so it made me more aware of that, and more aware of how I need to be like that, and how I need to look out for other people and be a support to others as well, and not just have people like support me.
Yeah. So what do you have left in this journey, although it stays with you forever?
Right.
We know you have a scan, or what's going on with that?
Yeah, my PET scan will be the first week of August, and then I'll have my actual appointment to go over the scan on August 17th. So it'll be exactly a year from diagnosis date to hopefully like you are free date. So yeah.
Awesome.
So we're excited.
Awesome.
For
It's
sure.
going to be great news.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I hope so.
So any last words, anything I didn't cover, or, just speak right to your viewers?
This is going to sound so weird. Embrace being bald. It was the greatest thing ever. I absolutely loved it. The growing out process is not as fun, but it, like, oh my gosh, I loved being bald. So like,
why don't you just shave now?
Yeah, I know, right? Because the husband would kill me if I just shaved my head. But and I say that because like I was so afraid of not seeing myself. Like when I was bald and when I looked in the mirror, I was afraid of looking in the mirror and being like, I don't know her. Who is that?
Yeah.
But it's one of those things, and I realized this. I didn't want cancer to change who I was. I didn't want cancer to affect the way I saw myself. But I was like, no, this is me now. Like I am now, hopefully, a cancer survivor. Like I am a cancer patient. I will be a cancer survivor. This is me now. I need to embrace it. I need to like be proud of that. And so that's why I was like, I'm bald. Sounds good. Like, let's do this.
That is awesome. So, that is great. Well, thank you so much.
Oh,
for this
thank
time
you. Thank you so much.
That's awesome. I'm gonna see if can I get that picture?
Yeah.
See this beautiful couple here with my filming skills here. Actually, if I do this, it's going right up. Look at this gorgeous couple.
Now we're just waiting for the hair to get to that.
All right, have a blessed day, everybody.